373 businesses closed over this period. March numbers show a decline of 8% year-on-year, down from 138 in March 2024 to 127 in March this year. However, there's been a 32% rise in compulsory liquidations in January and February this year, signalling ongoing economic challenges. Sectors the hardest hit include financing, insurance, real estate and business service sectors. Joining me now to discuss this is Jeffrey Mendelson, Director of Mendelson Attorneys, Insolvency Law Specialists. Hi Jeff, thanks for joining us today.
Hi Juliet, thanks for having me, and of course hello to all viewers.
Well, before we get to the latest numbers, what are the legal differences between voluntary and compulsory liquidations?
So a voluntary liquidation takes place when the directors of a company resolve to enter into liquidation because they themselves have realized that the continuation of the business is no longer feasible, and that it would likely be better at that stage to call it quits than to carry on kicking the can down the road and waiting for a creditor to bring an application. A court application or a compulsory liquidation is when the court orders a liquidation of a company or a closed corporation. Usually what happens is obviously the directors of a company are running the business. They are more aware of the financial position of the company and what's going on in the company, and they usually would prolong a business's operations, obviously trying to turn it around and risk it. Whereas with the creditor, they decide that for whatever reason they're no longer willing to give the company any additional time to repay their debt, and then they decide to approach the court and apply for a winding up application.
Now, Stats SA's numbers show an overall decrease of 3.7% in total liquidations for Q1 compared to a year ago, but a 32% rise in compulsory liquidations. Now, that's a staggering increase. What are the main reasons for this, in your view, or what are you experiencing in your business?
So look, the rise in compulsory liquidations doesn't necessarily mean that companies or creditors are deciding to bring the applications now. What it means is that the orders, the compulsory court application orders, are being granted now. So these could be court applications that were brought literally 2 weeks ago, a month ago, and up to a few years ago. It's just a matter of the actual applications being finalized. There's all sorts of issues with the court rolls and the clogging of the court rolls, and court proceedings are taking slightly longer to finalize than they used to, a few years ago. So there could be a multitude of factors. In my business, I have seen a slight rise in compulsory liquidations and clients coming to me for that purpose. But yeah, 30%, does seem like a bit of an outlier, to be honest. So I think that it's more to do with older matters that are coming to a head now and being finalized. And that is reflected in the general trend. As you mentioned, the trend is that there are fewer liquidations taking place. Just looking at the report that was released by Stats SA, the general trend from 2019 with a spike in 2020, and then, since then, essentially, there's been a reduction over 7 years, essentially, of liquidations that are being recorded. So I think the general trend is that, there are less liquidations, and that's reflected both in voluntary liquidations and compulsory liquidations.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for that. I wish we had more time to chat to you, but so much going on today. And that was Jeff, Director of Mendelson Attorneys, Insolvency Law Specialist, Jeffrey Mendelson.